China is more than just a country with a colorful history. It is a unique civilization that emerged at the dawn of humanity and continues to preserve its identity, language, culture, and spirit to this day. Ancient Egypt, the Roman Empire, Babylon, Persia, all of them are now part of history books. They came, reached their peaks, and fell. But China remained. It survived invasions, collapses, dynastic changes, ideological upheavals, wars and disasters, and yet it stayed true to itself. When we talk about China, we're not just talking about a country. We're talking about a cultural universe that has existed for thousands of years without interruption. Today's Chinese still see Confucius as a moral guide, honor ancient dynasties, celebrate the same traditional festivals their ancestors did in the Bronze Age. This continuity isn't frozen in a museum, it's alive. Chinese civilization didn't vanish. It lived, evolved, and grew, like an ancient oak tree with roots reaching deep into time. Archaeologists have found tools on Chinese soil dating back over 2 million years. For a time, scientists believed that the human evolutionary path in China was unique. But later evidence showed that modern Chinese people, like everyone else, descend from Homo sapiens, who left Africa tens of thousands of years ago. On their way east, they interbred with Neanderthals and Denisovans, forming the distinctive genetic makeup found in East Asia. In fact, modern Chinese people have slightly more Neanderthal DNA than Europeans. Even features like the distinctive eye shape are the result of adaptation to the harsh environment of ancient Asia, to cold winds, sandstorms, and bright light. As far back as 5000 BC, the people of this region were brewing fermented drinks from rice and honey, raising silkworms, and decorating pottery with snake and dragon motifs. Early forms of writing began to appear. Agriculture thrived in the river valleys of the Yellow River and the Yangtze, the cradles of Chinese civilization. The first organized state was likely the Shang, or Yin dynasty, which arose around the 16th century BCE. It had armies, bronze weapons, a ritual system of human sacrifice, and even early administrative structures. The Shang were succeeded by the Zhou dynasty, which introduced the foundational philosophies that still shape China today: Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism. It was during this era that values like filial piety, respect for elders, reverence for ancestors, and harmony with nature took root, values still very much alive in Chinese society. The unification of China came in 221 BCE under the legendary Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. He initiated the construction of the Great Wall, implemented a unified system of weights, measures, currency, and writing, divided the country into provinces, and laid the groundwork for centralized rule. His Qin dynasty was short-lived, but the governing structure he established became a lasting model. The Han dynasty followed and became one of China's most celebrated eras. It was under the Han that the Silk Road opened, connecting China to the West. Caravans carried silk, paper, spices, and ideas through deserts and mountains. China heard of Rome for the first time. Gunpowder was invented, initially for ritual use, and Buddhism arrived, traveling from India and adapting to local traditions. Han-era science, art, and philosophy spread influence across Korea, Vietnam, and Japan. After the fall of the Han, China entered a time of chaos: the Three Kingdoms, civil wars, and barbarian invasions. But even in darkness, culture endured. Conquerors became the conquered, adopting Chinese language, customs, and governance. In the 6th century, the Sui dynasty reunified China and built the Grand Canal, an engineering marvel linking the north and south. Then came the Tang dynasty, ushering in a golden age. China became the most advanced nation in the world. The capital, Chang'an, was the largest city on earth. Scholars, monks, and traders arrived from across Asia and beyond. Tang poetry, art, and philosophy remain legendary. It was a time of openness, abundance, and brilliance. The Song dynasty, which followed, faced constant military threats, yet made tremendous contributions. China invented paper money, the magnetic compass, and movable type printing. Urban life flourished. The country was sophisticated, rich in commerce, and technologically ahead of its time. But it remained vulnerable, and then the Mongols came. Under Kublai Khan, the Mongols conquered China and established the Yuan dynasty. As before, they absorbed Chinese culture, but their rule was harsh. Heavy taxes, discrimination, and destruction wore down the people. Still, Chinese civilization survived. In 1368, a peasant-led rebellion overthrew the Mongols and founded the Ming dynasty. Ming China restored strength and independence. Admiral Zheng He led vast fleets across the Indian Ocean long before Columbus set sail. China traded, built temples, reinforced the Great Wall. Yet over time, the nation turned inward, suspicious of foreigners and resistant to scientific progress. In 1644, the Manchus invaded and founded the Qing dynasty, China's last. Though outsiders, they quickly adopted Chinese culture. The early Qing period saw peace and reform, but later emperors closed China off from the world. As Europe industrialized and expanded, China lagged behind. The 19th century was disastrous. The Opium Wars with Britain, humiliating treaties, the loss of Hong Kong, foreign spheres of influence from France, Russia, Japan. China was carved up, its wealth plundered. Inside the country, massive uprisings like the Taiping Rebellion left millions dead. The Qing dynasty collapsed in 1911. The republic that followed brought no peace, civil wars, poverty, outside invasions. Especially Japan's brutal conquest in the 1930s, devastated the land. In 1937, the Nanjing Massacre shocked the world. Millions died. Cities lay in ruins. After World War II, civil war resumed. In 1949, the Communist Party led by Mao Zedong won. The People's Republic of China was born. The defeated nationalists fled to Taiwan. At first, the new China followed the Soviet model. Massive land reforms, collectivization, and the Great Leap Forward aimed to transform the country, but led to famine and the deaths of tens of millions. Next came the Cultural Revolution, a decade of chaos, purges, and destruction of heritage. But out of that chaos came a new direction. In the 1970s, following US President Nixon's historic visit, China began to open up to the world. Under Deng Xiaoping, the country embraced socialism with Chinese characteristics. Market reforms began. China became the world's factory. Foreign investment poured in. Infrastructure boomed. In just one generation, hundreds of millions were lifted out of poverty. Cities exploded in size, connected by bullet trains and skyscrapers. Universities flourished. China became a leader in technology, space, manufacturing, and military power. And yet, through all this modern transformation, the soul of China endures. The Chinese still celebrate the Lunar New Year, sip tea, memorize the poetry of Li Bai, and honor their ancestors by name. China is not merely a country, it is a living civilization, walking through the centuries. And it seems that it has not yet spoken its final word.